Hello and welcome to another It's a Long Road, the Rambo Series Podcast. Rambo First Blood Part 2, Nothing is Over, Episode 4. I think I got it. I think I got it all in the first tackle there. So, Katie, you are with me. Welcome to the show.
We finally got here, or you did anyway.
Yeah, here's the thing. So even if you're first time or only listen, I should say, to the Rambo feed, because there are listeners who don't listen to my Rocky podcast. So Katie is my full-time co-host with Kyle on the Rocky coverage. So basically what we've been doing with the Rambo films, dear listener, we do with the Rocky films. Same idea, more or less. Scene by scene, movie by movie, the exact same format with the Rocky films. But Katie, there are people who like Rambo, who don't like Rocky, and vice versa, and those who like both. So there are listeners that listen to both. And Katie said to me, Ryan, I want to come on your Nothing is Over reboot of Rambo. And I hesitated, not because it's Katie, because obviously we've done so many stuff together. I wanted this to be open to people who've maybe never podcasted before, or they have other shows, like a new guest, because no offense to you and Kyle and Doug and all these other people. I did the first round with you guys when we did the original run. You guys were guests on that. However, the guests I had on for today, no fault of their own, had to cancel last minute. So I'm like, oh my gosh, who do I ask? Katie, you were the first person I contacted. Say, look, I need you short notice. Can you do this? And you said yes.
I happen to be in town this weekend.
Yeah, you're not on the vacation for the first time in a month and a half. This is fantastic. And it's not that I was not going to have you, but I thought people like you and Doug would be on like seasons 4 and 5 or movies 4 and 5. Because I'm like, a lot of people ask for the first two films very easily, but the last few films, because I think people are taking the quiz a little bit too seriously, like you did. We'll get to you in a second. In that people aren't familiar, myself included, with the movies 4 and 5. So the people are like, I don't want to be embarrassed. So I'm going to put the call out again on this episode, because movie 3, Rambo 3, is already booked. I've got 4 different individuals from one podcast coming on. Because what I did is I ran into their show on YouTube. I was just looking up Rambo podcasts just for fun to see who the competition is out there. And of course, nobody's better than me. But there is another show that did just Rambo 3. Like, just the episode was on Rambo 3. And I watched this. I kind of dig these guys. I dig their coverage, their banter. And so I invited each one of them on for a different episode to cover the 4 episodes for movie 3, Rambo 3. So I do need people still for Rambo, the 4th film, and Last Blood. So if you're out there listening, the emails in the show notes, or comment on YouTube if you can't figure it out. Tell me you want to come on like the other individuals have come on, because Katie's a professional. She's going to be flawless. She's going to knock out of the park. We love the newbies. They've done a great job. What are your thoughts, Katie, so far on the individuals who have come on the show for the first time beyond the mic? What do you think?
Very impressed. Truly, I'm not just saying that. Not that I'm a professional or anything, but I think everybody has been very well spoken, very knowledgeable, very entertaining to listen to. And I will say, I looked up the IMDb ratings for all the Rambo movies yesterday. I was just curious. And 4, I'm trying to get more people for 4 because it has the second highest rating. I was surprised that 2 wasn't higher, but 4 is higher than 2. So
I know why. I'll tell you why. I have a couple of theories.
The violence and stuff, or
sure, the violence, but the 2 theories. One is because IMDb was around when the 4th Rambo film came out, so users popped on and they didn't retroactively go back and grade the second film
true.
As much. I don't know what the numbers were per, like how many did both, but it was such a, I think they were excited. So I would be surprised what the last 5 years versus the first 5 years have been.
That's a good point.
And I know people are like, Ryan, do you not like Rambo 4? I do like Rambo 4, but if you listen to the show very quickly, it ended too quickly. The finale of the film should have been the second act of 3. It should have ended with the shootout, with the 50 cal shoot was an amazing sequence. And I don't know why Sly thought that's how I should end the film. No hand-to-hand combat, no mission, no infiltration, which he ironically did. He corrected himself in Last Blood. That's why I think Last Blood gets shited on too hard, because basically the last part of Last Blood should have been the last part of the 4th Rambo film. I think if you combine the 2 elements of film, make the sort of the events of the fifth Rambo film, the last part of the Rambo, the fourth film, and not have done a fifth film, that fourth film would have blown every other film out of the water for the violence, action sequences, the traps. Because in the fifth film, Rambo gets to be the what he was in First Blood. That's the whole idea. He sets the traps and all that stuff that we see in First Blood. But in the fifth film, he gets to kill people. He doesn't just get to maim them. Anyways, see, look at me geek out. There's still stuff to talk about. Oh, speaking of which, at the last episode that I recorded, it was funny. In that episode I did with Vic, that was episode 3 of this, we talked about how I'm done with this podcast, more or less, minus any big news or anything that happens that brings me back to the world of Rambo, the character. And literally after that episode was recorded, I think it was like 2 days, I was in the editing process. They announced they're doing a prequel to the Rambo First Blood. They're doing a prequel, like John in Vietnam.
A series or a movie?
A series. My understanding is like a Amazon Prime, HBO. I don't know which network, Paramount, but they're doing. This is like early stages, but I think it was like an official announcement. It wasn't like one of those AI announcements on Facebook. This was like an official, legit announcement that they are doing. So it's just funny because in that episode with Vic, I was talking about, the only thing that would bring me back is you really got to go back in time and do it. And they literally did it 2 days later.
They keep pulling you back in.
That's what it is. So yes. So if you're listening to this, don't cancel your feed when I'm done with Last Blood, because I will absolutely do an episode by episode review of that prequel series with guest hosts, the same way we're doing this. Each episode will be each TV episode will be a podcast episode review. What do you think?
That'll be really interesting. I'm very curious to see when it's set. Is it during the war? Is it before the war? Is Sly involved? Who are they going to freaking cast?
So let me answer some of those speculations, because I am the authority on this.
Okay.
No. Sly, he doesn't have to be involved. And this is what I told Vic. And what's he going to do? The most he could do is narrate, which wouldn't be a bad idea. So he could be the narrator. You never see him on screen, or you literally see him talking to somebody or some sort of, but he has no one left. He has no family left. So I don't know who he's, you can almost see him making a journal, some sort of like, my time is on this planet is coming to an end. Before I go, I want the people to know. Or he's living with the Native Americans as we're led to believe he's gone back to his people. He could be telling a tale to some children, or who knows, the youth. Let me tell you about a war. And then he does that. And then we see the beginning. It's a little bit corny, but it gets Sly involved, and why not? But without Sly, you don't need him. It's not his character. He doesn't own the character. And as much as I love Sly, and of course I do, and his Rambo portrayal, Rambo to me is someone that, I will say it. It's not his creation, so it's not as sacred as Rocky. He can be played. Rambo, the character, can be played by other actors. I'm sorry. Obviously, he has to be. He can't CGI DH Stallone. Don't be silly. So they're going to be a young actor, some young Italian-looking guy, some handsome dude.
He better be handsome. That's all I have to say.
There's no way he won't be. He'll be a good-looking guy. But what I would like to see is even if it's just half of the first episode, some of his upbringing, schooling, his father, because in the novel he was abused by his father. So some of that physical abuse, and just see the upbringing he has, that he escapes to. I think he left to join the military to get away from his home. So then you see him in basic training, would be up to the first or the last half of him just like excelling at weapon handling, hand-to-hand combat. And you can see like the instructors being like, oh, this guy is dangerous. Like even amongst his staff, you could see him butt heads with somebody. Then you see Troutman recognize him, and you can almost see Troutman say, okay, I want this guy on my first mission, or what, I want this guy with me. And then, you need to have Troutman, because Troutman talks about how during the war, he helped Rambo get out of some scrapes. So we get to see a seasoned veteran, but still in his prime, like 48-year-old Troutman, who can kick ass because he helped Rambo and molded him. So we get to see, because remember, he says, God didn't make Rambo, I did. So we get to see, how did Troutman make Rambo? What was it that he put Rambo through to become Rambo? That's all fascinating stuff. And then we get to see missions and wars and battles, and we get to see the group of the Baker team, whatever, together, and their adventures, and them talking about, and then we get to see the shoebox scene happen. My God, it's legs, I can see his legs. We get to see that. All this stuff will happen. And then we'll see him get dismissed from the war, and then him going town to town. And then the series would end with him you could see the back part of
Mhm.
the Rambo actor, whoever, but they make it look just like Stallone's Rambo, but just the back part of his head walking towards Hope, and then credits roll. Then you roll into First Blood.
I like your version here. I guess I am skeptical that it will be taken as that as much care will be taken. Sometimes they screw it up.
I don't understand
You
why
know
they
what I
don't.
mean?
We've talked about, I think you and I have talked about this,
Yeah.
or you've heard me say this before. Why don't they let nerds like me, not me, but nerd say, can you come in for quality control? You're a
Mhm.
Rambo fanatic. What are
I
fans going
hope
to like?
so.
Why do they leave money on the table? What?
I actually was wondering, because there's so much money involved. I'm wondering because you can go one way knowing that it's a limited series, that there's a finite 10 episodes and you have to cover,
Sure.
and then there's an end.
Yeah.
But you know how things go. If people like it, it's going to go on for seasons and seasons. And so then that's harder to.
You have to commit. You have to commit to a story. You have to say, how much are we willing to show of his childhood, his basic training days? You can
I
make this.
agree. I agree.
You can make
I
this an
worry
incredible.
that,
Make it a miniseries because
yeah.
because the actor's going to age too. The problem is you're going to have Troutman and the actor playing Troutman, the actor playing Rambo. They're going to age to some degree at some point as well. Not a lot, 3 to 4 years, sure, but these series seem to take a lot longer to film. So I'd recommend just make it Rambo, the prequel series, and you could. I don't know what would the title be. Not First Blood. You could call it
Original Blood or something.
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Or let me get back on that because that'd be a fascinating title. Rambo something. You'd have to call it something because like Dexter, you know how they've called it, Original Sin, stuff like that. That's great titles. So yeah, you're gonna have to come up with a title with this, folks. And David Morrell's still alive. So if you're really gonna tap into anyone's brain about story arcs, my recommendation, dear producers of this, approach Sly to narrate, to leave the story well alone. I'm sorry, Sly, I love you, but give the vision back to Morrell and his novel. Stick to the novel, Rambo, and that character because it's already fleshed out in the novel. So that's your source material. There's already stuff talked about in the novel about his upbringing and in the war. And you could have yourself a pretty kick-ass 8 to 10 episodes arc of a prequel that would just bleed into the franchise, which if the company that owns the Rambo franchise, why would they want this to succeed? Just more money into their DVD sales. I don't know. Leave money on the table. That's your choice. Leave money on the table. I don't care.
No, I like it. I really am crossing my fingers that a lot of care will be taken to make it cohesive with what we know of the character currently.
You know who did it right? This is who they have to model after, Andor. And I know you're not a Star Wars fan. And I actually haven't seen Andor, but I read enough to know Andor. Just so you're tracking, if you're not a listener, sorry, if you're not a fan of Star Wars, I'm saying this for those who aren't. Andor is a TV series on Disney Plus that is the most highly rated Star Wars product, period, between fans and critics. Okay. It is the prequel series to the movie Rogue One. So Rogue One came out, 5 odd years ago. I guess probably even longer. Time goes by so fast. But anyways, it came out a bit ago, Rogue One. And Rogue One was considered to be the best Star Wars film in a long time since Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Yeah. So the producers, creators, showrunners of Andor recognize we have a really good product here. And so they created this movie. It's a standalone film, a standalone adventure. You could almost say a la First Blood. That's your standalone adventure. They created and ended 2 seasons. They knew we have a story that's a prequel to this film that cannot, like you said, it can't run, even though it's highly reviewed, highly rated, highly viewed, highly loved. They knew we have a story to tell and it's going to end because it now bleeds into that film, Rogue One. So whoever runs Andor should talk to the people who run Rambo, the prequel, and say, look, guys, we did it with 2 seasons. We have an end in mind. If you're smart, you'll do it like us. There's no one complaining about Andor the way people might about this journey. So that would be my call to these producers is to say, look, do it like Andor. Take it seriously, and you can do it very well. I don't know. Either way, we're going to review every episode on our podcast. So do not throw away your feed. Okay. As I do, Katie, with every listener, you listen to every episode. I appreciate your support. What is your fandom of Rambo?
I will say I wouldn't be if Sylvester Stallone weren't in it.
Sure.
I've always been a Rocky fan. And I watched all the Rockies and I'm like, oh, he also has this other series. I don't love it as much as Rocky. It's because of Rocky. And I was like, oh, he's got these. And then two iconic characters. So one of my dogs is named Rambo.
Yeah.
The other one is Balboa. So yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Again, our co-host partner in the Rocky coverage that we do on One More Round, the Rocky Series Podcast. Check that out. One More Round. Kyle's the same way. He actually is barely a Sly fan, so he just loves Rocky. That's fine. He loves the Rocky character, he loves the Rocky films, loves boxing films. So he hadn't seen these films either until he started doing podcasts with us. And I don't think he's even seen the full. I don't know if he's seen past part two.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, you don't have to be. I'm one of the. I say few. That's not true. I'm a Sly fan. Period. So I've seen like everything he's done, even as the garbage films. However, yeah, I'm just as equally almost a Rambo as I'm a Rocky fan. I would actually almost have a hard time choosing which. Yeah, I really like the Rambo character, and I really love what Sly does with the character, especially of course the first film. But I love the whole. But I do like the action films. I'm a young teenager when these things came out, so I grew up with this action film. This is my John Wayne. So I think people, and you didn't. Most girls, it's not me, aren't fanboying or fangirling Rambo when they're teenagers. Like this, it's not common. All my friends growing up in high school and junior high, no female ever talked to me about Rambo. It was a guy thing. Like it was very few girls. Hey, Ryan, did you see the Rambo film? Oh, really? You like Rambo?
Yeah, no, I'm not even. It's funny that I'm on like an action podcast network because it is not my chosen genre. I come to like them because I've come to like some certain actors in the genre. Because they're very nice to look at. And then sure. That gets me there. And then you start to appreciate some of the movies for more than just that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I'm the same about romantic comedies. I don't go out to seek them, but when I watch them, I could probably give a review on them and talk about them, enjoy them. But yeah, it's okay. I knew that answer, but I wanted our listeners to know your background and where you're coming from with these films. Folks, on our Rocky podcast, Rocco, as I mentioned before, who made this Rambo trivia book, he did the same for the Rocky movies, which is actually over here behind my shoulder right here. He did the same for the Rocky films, the trivia book. And Katie on that podcast takes the trivia very seriously. She is very hard to quote unquote beat. And so when I invited her on this episode short notice, I was hoping that I would catch her with her pants down, figuratively speaking. So she'd be like, I got a review, I got a test. But no, the first thing she says was, I'm going to have to rewatch the film right away. And did you do that?
I did.
Okay.
I rewatched the movie. I think 2 is the one that people think of when they think of action Rambo. They think of First Blood Part 2. And I do really like it. It's clearly not as good as the first one, but I rank it number 2.
Okay, that's fair.
In all of them. Very nice to look at again. But I did fair, I do have a poor memory. So I don't know. We shall see.
Again, as I've said to the other guests, Katie, what I've always told the other guests.
It's just for fun. It's just for fun.
We're just having fun. We're talking about the scenes, but I am curious how you're gonna do. I'm curious how I'm gonna do. I haven't looked at the questions. I haven't been doing that great, but yeah, it's just fun to remember some.
When was the last time you saw it?
Like did you listen to the last episode I did with Vic by chance? Have you heard it? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't. Again, my memory.
I don't be like, how dare you not remember every piece of dialogue I've ever had? I only asked because I think I mentioned to him that because he rewatched that film part 2 like in preparation for his appearance on the show, I think 5 or 6 times that week. So he was taking it very seriously.
Oh shoot. Okay.
And I think he scored 9 out of 10 actually. So he was the highest score we've had in a while. And then he asked me when's the last time I saw it, or I volunteered the information, but I don't think I've seen it since I covered it on the podcast. So back 2 years ago at least. So when I do episode by episode or scene by scene with the second film. So it's been since I did this during the original run. I haven't watched it since then. Okay. All right. So here we go. First Blood Part 2. We are the last. These are the last 10 questions. The next episode will be Rambo 3. All right. You got your pen and paper ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many confirmed kills has Rambo accumulated? Remember, it's the one closest to the number and you can go over. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I do remember thinking
it's quite a bit.
That I thought it was going to be more.
Yeah,
It was lower than I was expecting. I do recall
it's almost
that.
like Rambo goes, "Don't worry, I'm gonna get more of this film."
Yeah.
Where does Rambo go to avoid the bomb dropped by the Russian helicopter? Where does Rambo go to avoid? Oh, interesting way of wording the question, Rocco. Okay. Basically, how does he avoid the bomb? I guess it's a funny bomb that thing has on the helicopter. It has a barrel underneath the helicopter that gets released and dropped on the. I can't
Yeah,
say
I
where.
guess
I think that might be the.
I think the semantics might trip me up on this one.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea. I'll just go with. I think Rocco's asking, how does he avoid the bomb? How's the bomb avoided? Okay. Remember, he's a young lad.
Okay.
How does Rambo destroy Podofsky's helicopter? All right. Man, you just saw this yesterday.
I did, and I'm like,
I love that scene. Such a classic. Of course, we'll talk about each scene when we talk about the answers. The best way to go. Okay. Who says it was just supposed to be another assignment? Who says it was supposed to be just another assignment? Oh, wait. No, farting. I'm having a hard time with this one. I know exactly what they're talking about.
I literally just watched the movie yesterday, and I can't.
It was
think of the
just
helicopter
supposed
one.
to be. Oh, you're still stuck on that one?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with who I think said this. This is funny because I'm picturing, I know person A wouldn't say this. Person B. Okay. All right. How many POWs does Rambo successfully bring back to Murdoch?
Oh shit. It doesn't say it. Oh yeah,
No.
it does. It does. It does say it. Or no, does it? You just have to count them.
Yeah, does that count living? The one guy got shot in the helo, remember? He gets shot.
Yes, but I don't
Does he
think
live? I can't even.
we're not, it doesn't show whether he lives or dies.
Oh.
I think they have him on a stretcher when they
Okay, I'm gonna go with again closest to the number. This one may be tricky.
They may have.
We'll do this one. This is the tiebreaker, and this is what somebody mentioned on a previous one when I mentioned my distaste for the Price is Right rules. So if you go over and it's like we're both one is over, one is under by one, it's whoever didn't go over wins. So is what we'll do. We'll instill Price is Right rules if there's a tie. If that makes sense. Who does Rambo say deserves the Medal of Honor more than him? I want what they want. A Big Mac and fries. All right.
I did notice he does some things in this movie to showcase his body that is nobody would actually do that. Like,
how dare you? Now's a good time than any to talk about what's such a scene you're talking about. Give me.
There's a few times he looks incredible, but he is clearly, like when they're showcasing his body, he is very much sucking in and flexing his stomach to such a degree that no one just standing there would do. And like when you're like,
that's how I walk around all day at work. I'll just suck in my gut, puff up my chest to show how tough I am.
Yeah, and I was just like, I mean, it looks good, Sly, but nobody just stands that way.
Sly
and
does.
Walks that way.
And I do love how it never ceases to make me laugh when he gives that whole speech to Trout at the end there, and he goes day by day, and then he walks off, and he's like
nothing.
He's
with nothing. Yeah,
he's got his pants on. I love it. He's got his pants, his combat boots on, his bandana, but no shirt. I'm off to the forest. I'm off to Bangkok as is. I always
takes
wonder,
nothing with him.
Nothing with him.
Yeah.
Like, where did he go? What did he grab? Who was the first person he talked to on that?
I know.
Like, he's gonna have to communicate to somebody to set up a residence because he went to Thailand, right?
Yeah, they're in Thailand. Yeah.
So he has to go there. No, he's not in Thailand. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
that base is in Thailand.
So he just like saunters off and
he's in the jungle.
And then I always wanted to see the scene of him like making arrangements with the stick fighter people, like the foot sticks with you and give the winnings to the poor. And it's like these arrangements. And then he had to make arrangements with the poor people. Here's the money for the fights. And just the whole day by day building the temple. I just love.
I know. Also, like maybe spend the night there. You've just been fighting like for 24 hours straight. Maybe. And been tortured and stuff. Maybe drink a gallon of water first and then break. Yeah.
He just literally walks off the tarmac to who knows where, to the jungle where I belong. Yeah. All right. According to Murdoch's files, where was Rambo born? Oh, I know where he's born in the books. Oh, shoot. Okay. I think it's different than the books. Do we
have to know the city or just the state?
I think the state. State's fine.
Okay.
I'm guessing a state, but it's one of two, and I can't remember if it's the book I'm getting in my head or the yeah. Oh, come on, Rocco.
I don't know if they said a state. I don't know if they said a city, but I have a state.
I have a state too. What is Rambo's date of birth?
Oh, it is, because I wondered if it was his actual date of birth.
No, I think he's younger in the films. I think we're led. Come on, Sly's always younger in his films.
I know, but
except for the first Rocky film, ironically.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they even made him a little bit older. I think he was 29 at filming. What is Rambo's date of birth? Oh boy, I'm going to go with whoever's closest. Well, going. It could be again whoever's closest. Okay. According to Murdoch, what year was he in the 2nd Battalion? Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. What year?
Yeah. What year was Murdoch in the 2nd Battalion?
What year was Murdoch in the 2nd Battalion? Okay. Yeah.
So basically, when did he serve? Because he gets his little resume. Yeah, I've done some stuff too.
Yeah.
Which is true. He served his country, and there's nothing to sneeze at. But he's turned into a.
But he lied about his time.
That's right. He lied about some stuff. Again, whoever's closest. So I'm just thinking the Vietnam War was then. So I'm going to guess. Okay. Last question. What? Oh boy, Rocco, killing us with the dates, and there won't be a lot of film discussion. These are going to be hard to find in the clips from me. What date did Rambo join the army? Producers, this is what you got to listen to watch these movies to know the exact dates.
Shoot, I don't remember them talking about that.
I'm going to go again with the closest to without going over.
What year did Rambo join the army?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at his birth date. And
I know. Let me get a calculator here. Boy, I don't. I'm between two numbers. I'm gonna get it wrong.
It's gonna be tough. No, there's no wrong or right. Remember, we're in this together. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please. How many confirmed kills has Rambo accumulated?
59.
59 confirmed kills.
Bang on.
I just watched the movie yesterday, and I recalled it specifically because I thought it would have been higher.
Well, I said 48.
Okay.
But that's wrong. I was hoping whoever got the closest, right? But shoot, 50, that's actually a fairly... Those are confirmed kills, as they say. I love the idea of confirmed kills. I don't know how it's done. I'm not trying to be glib here.
Yeah.
I'm really not, because I know there might be veterans listening to this podcast, and honestly, there are. So I just don't know how you would confirm that I fired the weapon and I saw Buddy go down.
Yeah, how is that determined? That is an interesting question.
Because that's what they mean by confirmed kills. Because you could be just in a wild firefight, and we've all seen the war movies. It's just firing down range. Who knows whose bullet hit who? I guess that would be the idea. If he's just more, I have a buddy in my sights and I'm taking him out. Like, you're like, yeah, I got that guy. His head just became a watermelon. Like, I guess it's almost the idea of
So actual number of kills is likely higher, but confirmed
means we can. Basically, we're giving you credit, dude. Get the interesting stat to keep. It's sort of
really
morbid.
It's extremely morbid, and it's
an odd, and I know Rambo wouldn't brag about that. It's an odd stat the government keeps on you, but I think they do. I think they do keep that. Interesting. If you are a veteran and you don't mind sharing, not your kills, but if you don't mind sharing how that's done, how they keep that, and why the count is kept. Let us know in an email or comment on YouTube. Okay. Where does Rambo go to avoid the bomb that's dropped by the Russian helicopter?
I put that he kind of jumps in the over the rock waterfall thing into the other part of the water.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. He avoids it by going underwater. That's it.
Oh,
it's just the way he worded it. It made it sound a little bit trickier than it really meant to be, I think. But yeah, he jumps into the water. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good scene, by the way. I love that scene. So I used to think it was Sly that did that jump, but I don't know if it is.
Probably not.
Because the actual explosion shot I don't know where I heard that urban legend rumor. Because Sly does do a lot of his stunts. And I actually had a great interview at the time I was recording yesterday, and it'll probably come out before this one, so I can say it now. His name is Nat. His last Segaloff, I think is his last name off the top of my head. He wrote the book, The Rambo Report.
Oh.
It's a in-depth, fascinating read. So let me just plug it now. If you haven't heard the interview and you're on this feed, go back and listen to the interview. We talk about a lot of different stuff. He's a fascinating individual, sound knowledge. He's basically a journalist by trade. So he dives into the Rambo films and the filmmaking process in a journalistic way. It's quite fascinating. And spoiler alert, he's not even a Rambo fan per se, but that just shows you the integrity of his love of films. Like, he likes First Blood enough, but he's not even. And I also asked him, are you going to do the same coverage of the Rocky films? And he says, no, I have no interest.
Really?
Yeah. He's an older because he's been doing this for decades, this kind of work. He has 30 to 50 odd books of, so go check out the interview. Again, it's the Rambo Report. He gave me an advance copy and a PDF file. So I got to read the book before the interview, and I will buy the book because to support him, but I got to read it before it got released. And it's fascinating. There's stuff I had no idea. Just some trivia there. So a lot of Stallone stories. He did reach out to Stallone's people, and they were too busy to give any input. So everything he has regarding Stallone is from interviews, articles, very deep research. It's crazy the research that he went into on this. What else? Oh, so this was in the book, and this is a story that Sly told. So he wasn't drafted for the Vietnam War. He was of age to be drafted at the time, but he just so happened, Katie, during that time, during the Vietnam War drafting, that he was teaching, I forget what, girls, an old girls' school or something. Nat tells me, I can't remember, in Sweden. So he wasn't able to be drafted at the time. And he also said, so this from Sly, that he was at a rock concert and he fell asleep next to a speaker and hurt his hearing, which caused him not to be medically fit. But there's no, again, I did my own research on that just to see, is there any account of Sly's medical inability to serve? And there's
also the teaching thing. Didn't he not even graduate from high school? Like, you can't be a teacher. What?
You could be a contracted, you could argue, for his whatever. I think it was theater.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I love Sly. We talked about Sly. I don't want to spoil the interview too much, but we have I upped on Sly a little bit, and he's a biographer by trade as well. He's done some biographies, and I talked to him offline, so I didn't record this part, but I just mentioned we talked about the book Steps is coming out, so he's aware of that biography coming out. And I talked about my skepticism that the book is going to reveal anything that we don't already know, or if it does, it's going to be Sly patting himself on the back. I don't think we're going to get any real stories about his upbringing, his dad being this or that, or his mom being a weird astrologer, or just anything real. His first marriage with Sasha, like his son with autism, like nothing. I want to hear those. And Nat did bring up a good story. I mean, a good point. And I agree with what Nat's saying. He says, just because they're public figures doesn't mean they're public. And I'm like, yeah, this is just me being selfish, because I'll give Arnold Schwarzenegger credit. This is the one place where Arnold has beat Sly, is his biography does do all that. He acknowledges his affairs. He talks about his divorce. He talks about
and I agree
journey.
That just because you're a public figure doesn't mean you're public. But if you write a book about your life, that's different, isn't it?
No, you're right. There should be some sort of telling me stuff that you say. Yeah, you're right. A biography, here's the thing. A biography should be more personal. Like, it should be more than the interview on late night talk shows.
A promo. It shouldn't be a promo. Yeah.
You don't need to promote yourself. I'm already a fan. I want to hear your dad beating you. Sorry. And I want to hear how you dealt with that, because believe it or not, there might be a fan who is being abused by their dad, and you might be able to tell them, this is how I got out of it. This is how I overcame abuse. This is how I clawed my way through the gutter, so to speak. People can embrace those stories of squalor, hardships, or even the times that you failed. Like my first marriage failed, and this is why. It could be a warning to I married too young, and I was selfish, and I focused too much on my career, and I broke my ex-wife's heart in that process, even though I became a successful actor. Wouldn't that humanize somebody?
Yeah, and also just warn that he was historically known. He was a playboy, and I think she got real sick of that.
Yeah, a woman clawed at me, and I did coke in the bathroom with whoever. And there are biographies that do that. Say what you want about certain people. Like, I'm a huge fan of course, the rock world. It's not much different than the actor world, but I've read the biographies on Aerosmith and Motley Crue, and they give you everything. In fact, the Motley Crue biography is called The Dirt, because they go into everything, every scandal, embarrassing moment, sescapades, everything. And guess what? It didn't make me stop listening to music. No, it actually was fascinating to read the dirt on these people and the overdoses. They talked about Vince Neil when he crashed his car and killed their friend. Like everything was talked about. Just lay it on the. We've already heard stories. Just tell me your point of view of it. And Sly is the same. We've heard the stories about your first marriage, your marriage with Brigitte, your son with autism. You never talk about it anymore. Where is he? Who like Sage is passing. Like these are real raw moments. We already know about them, but we haven't really heard any.
I agree.
Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, fascinating interview.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear that one. Yeah, that reminded me, you wondering if he did that stunt. I also, watching it, when he dives off the boat, just in the nick of time.
That's right, that one too, explodes. Yeah.
I don't think it was him. It was really far away. And
that's what I said to Nat, I think, during that. We talked about the stunts, and we both agreed that anytime the camera pulls away from the main star to show the stunt and nothing really up close, there's a stand-in. Yeah, fair enough. I think that when we did the breakdown of the boat scene of the explosion, I think we even caught when we did the scene by scene squeeze pausing that you could tell it was a Sly's body. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. This is you. How does Rambo destroy Podolsky's helicopter?
I don't know why I can't. He either crashed.
Remember.
I know, because I remember he pulls the guy out and then he's in it. I guess I thought he landed it.
Yeah. So he had a helicopter with the POWs that crashes. It's too late to answer now. I'm giving.
Yeah, I just put he crashes either into a mountain.
No,
or water.
Remember he fakes that he's dead or that and he pulls the bazooka out, shoots through the window at the helicopter.
Oh,
so Podolsky was flying the helicopter chasing Rambo down with the POWs.
Oh yes. Oh my God. I don't know the context for the. Oh yes, of course. Yeah, that's a great scene.
It is a wonderful scene, and we talked about how I love how in the movie we see there's like an opening in the glass.
Yeah,
of the windshield, and we're led to believe that's probably what Rambo shot the bazooka through that hole in the glass. Isn't that convenient? There's already a hole in the glass for the missile of the rocket to shoot through, where it would have been irrelevant. And the idea that he shoots a bazooka inside the cabin of a helicopter with people inside of there too.
I don't know how bazookas work. So
I think there's a bit of blowback. I don't know why.
I would imagine so.
Hey guys, plug your ears. And this is the idea too that he's pretending to sleep, like he opens his eyes and grabs the bazooka. It's a funny scene, anyways. Okay, who says it was just supposed to be another assignment? Now I have an answer. I just don't know if it's right. What's your answer on that?
Murdoch.
I didn't know it was supposed to happen like this. It was just supposed to be another assignment.
I put Murdoch as well. It was Murdoch. Okay. I think this is when the scene where he's talking to Troutman, try to justify his.
No, I think no. It's when Rambo comes in.
Oh,
and Rambo's pissed. He'd shot up all the equipment, and then he comes in, and Murdoch's like scared of him, and then he's trying to backtrack. It was just another assignment.
Okay, that's a great. I love that computer shoot up scene too because it's just show you that these things did F all for my mission. All the computers.
Yeah, I guess I was hoping he would have shot up Murdoch's office more to scare Murdoch even more.
Oh, he was pretty scared though. He got the knife out.
Yeah.
I think he probably peed a little in that.
I would have.
How many POWs does Rambo successfully bring back to Murdoch? Answers, please.
9.
Oh. So let me get I won this one. According to Rocco, it's just 3.
What?
So maybe he's also, I think it was more than 3, like it might have been 4, but maybe he's saying that one guy did die, maybe. But anyways, the answer according to, and I am going to go back when I do the scene to show them coming off the helicopter or whatever at the end, but he says it was just 3 that he brought back.
Okay. I don't know.
And I said 6, so I got closer.
You said 6? Okay. All right.
Guys, you have to understand, don't feel bad for Katie. She destroys me on the Rocky.
No. Okay. Not on 5. I was horrible at 5.
Yeah, Can you believe it? By the way, our next recording of Rocky is the Rocky podcast is our last episode of Rocky 5.
Great coverage though with the guests. I just listened to the most recent one this morning. I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, we missed you, but it's always nice to hear different voices. Yeah. But we did miss you, of course. I could edit this out, but are you okay with just watching the Workers Print final fight?
Yeah.
Okay, because what do you say about the street fight? Back and forth, and then Sue me for what? And then the movie ends. That's the final.
I will just wonder. I'll be like, was that in the original or was that new? And
well,
we
like
can
I
talk about
said, you'll see the sucker punch. So Tommy sucker punches Rocky in the work print, and then continues just to pulverize Rocky throughout. Like the first part of that fight is just Tommy beating the crap out of Rocky, like assault, straight up assault, and then it kicks in. Yeah, we'll get to it. Okay. That's for our Rocky listeners who care. Okay. Who does Rambo say deserves the Medal of Honor more than him? Murdoch.
the POWs.
Yes.
If you give it to them, they deserve it more.
Give it to them. I love that. I love how Rambo's like, what are you going to pin this medal on? I have no shirt. I have no.
Isn't it like necklacey? It's
medal?
not like a
no
ribbon.
medals are there are a couple things. So when you're presented the medal, and I know it's sort like I'm Canadian and I've received a few, but I've actually received, believe it or not, yes, folks, I've received 3 American medals in my military service.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No, I don't say that as a look. I'm nobody and I've done nothing. So just to
Is it on your
so when you
dress
get the
uniform?
when you get the medal as a presentation, it is a pin and they just pin it to your chest, but you don't keep that medal. It's for presentation purposes. And then you're given what's called a ribbon. That's what the ribbons. So those ribbons that you see on those each represent a different medal. And then there's medals that you wear that look like the classic medals too. It just depends what order of dress you're wearing. Is it going to be the ribbons, or it's called medals or ribbons? It depends on the order of dress you've been told to wear. Anyways, yeah.
Cool.
So I can't, however, as a Canadian, I am not allowed to wear the American
on your uniform or on your
Canadian. No,
dress
they're just
uniform.
I just own them. They're just in my possession. Yeah, but still,
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, a great honor, and I really do appreciate. I'm one of these Canadians where I honor and appreciate American veterans and American service people. So thank you guys down there for your service. I do appreciate it, and it was a pleasure working with you. Okay, where are we? Yes, the POWs, of course. Oh, I got the wrong freaking state. For freak's sakes, that was my first guess. What's the state you put?
Arizona.
Yes, it is Arizona.
Bowie, Arizona, of Indian German descent.
I know that's where he ends up at the end of films, but I didn't.
Did you put New Mexico?
Yes, because I think it's the book.
Oh.
I couldn't remember which one was the book. Even though if you were to ask, here's the problem. If you were to ask me where does he end up, I would have said Arizona.
Yeah, but that makes sense why that's why he ends up there is because it's his like.
But I didn't know if the movie, but this is part 2, so I didn't know if the movie was referring to the book answer or a made up movie, because the movie will change his dad. Like in the book, he's not Native American German, for example.
Oh, he's not. What is he?
I think he's just normal.
They don't say
normal. He's just a normal human. He's not a Native American or German. I think I can't remember, but I don't think he's Native American at all in the novel.
They just don't say what it's not. It doesn't come up.
It's irrelevant, but I think they just threw that in because of his black hair and it's a little bit long, and I don't know. It just makes the Rambo character
he's super tan. He's super tan.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea that it's a little oddly culture appropriation that he makes him like that. Sly himself has no Native American blood in him, but that was an odd career choice or a character choice to make him part Native.
Well, I wonder if it has because he's so good on the land, like he can live off the land.
That's the idea. It adds that. I don't know. I hate to say mystical because that's a trope. They do that in films with the Native Americans. They make that. So, anyways, that being said, so my brain was overthinking this. My first answer was Arizona. That was the first answer that came to my brain. But I overthunk it because I'm like, that's the movie at the end of Last Blood because that's where he ends up. But I didn't know if they followed that in the movie.
They do say it. They say it in the movie.
Yeah.
I think when Troutman is talking to
they do. You're right. Yeah. What I mean is because it's been so long since I've seen it.
Okay.
I couldn't remember the state. I knew he gave his bio. And anyway, what I'm trying to say is I couldn't remember if the film followed the book or not because this film came out before Last Blood because we know in Last Blood he ends up in Arizona. Anyways, doesn't matter. I got it wrong. I said New Mexico. Now I got to remember. Does he actually say New Mexico in the book? See, am I overthinking over?
I don't know.
Is it ever New Mexico? Am I?
I don't know.
Or do we know?
I've never read the book.
You have to. It's good. What is Rambo's date of birth?
7/6/48.
Oh, close. Closer than me, so you get the point. 7/6/47.
Are you sure?
Okay, when the scene comes on, when I do the insertion, we'll change the point accordingly. But for now, you're wrong.
Okay.
But at the time it's recording, I'm going to play the scene right now.
Rambo John J., born 7/6/47.
Now, because I inserted that, I don't know if that's right or wrong, so we'll find out later. But yeah.
Because I think Sly's actual birthday is 7/6/46.
Fair. So Rocco says 47 according to what he got from the film, but you're saying, okay.
I very well have a horrible memory, and it probably is 47, but I swore they said 48. And then I remember taking note of it because I was like, that's really close to his actual birth date.
I remember thinking that too. And now that we're bringing this up, I thought that was interesting. That's close to Sly's birthday. Okay, we'll find out after we've heard the insertion. Again, we won't know till post-production when you hear this on YouTube or the audio feeds. All right. According to Murdoch, what year was he in the 2nd Battalion?
1966.
Launched with the 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines in Khartoum in 66.
Oh my God, you got it right on. I actually said 65. I just guessed. I said 65 out of pure guess.
That was a good guess, though. Good guess.
Yeah, you're killing me on this. As I knew you would. As I knew you would. Last one. I was way off on this one. What date did Rambo join? Because I was off on the birth year. What date did Rambo join the army?
I said 67.
Well, you're closer. It's 64.
Joined the Army age 6, 64.
64? That seems really early. That's not possible. If he was born...
he joined at 17. That's very likely. You can join at 17 in the Canadian Forces. So he joined right out of high school.
Okay. 64, though. What year did the Korean War end? Because...
I think it was, oh boy, I'm going to expose me. I think it was a 50s war. That much I know.
But it went into the 60s, didn't it, or not? No?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. The 58, maybe?
Yeah, I guess so. There was no war going on when Rambo joined the army.
Not a major conflict that I'm aware of. There's always conflicts, but the named wars that we talk about all the time. I don't know. So the Vietnam conflict, though, was earlier than we even. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, but I think technically, what was it? 67 or was it earlier than that? I don't know. Anyway.
No, I my years are bad about the wars.
All right. I didn't
do very good.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct.
Boy, this is my worst showing, I think. Funny. It's the dates. It's a dates one.
And maybe one more if it was 48, not 47. But
that's true. So officially you have right now what?
Officially 6.
No.
Yeah, because I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh,
6.
maybe. Yeah. I got 4. This is my worst showing, and this is going to be standard, I think, for the rest of the year. I think as the movies continue, between 3, I might get a couple because I haven't rewatched the film.
Oh, I don't know hardly anything about 3.
I might rewatch the films because my kids want to watch them, so I might rewatch the films anyways.
Yeah.
So I might have a few more. So here's Rocco here, by the way. There's young Rocco there.
That's a great photo. Oh my gosh, he's grown up. He's like a teenager now. Yeah.
Very sweet. So he was 14 when he did this. So keep that in mind. So any kind of grammatical errors, or I love how his dad just says, "Yeah, you write it, buddy. You live with the errors." So I love it. Okay. Oh, and we got confirmation that indeed the Dragonfly was a mistake. That we were right. That Vic and I went over that Dragonfly issue. That there was no named vehicle. It was just a call sign. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, and one last thing. This is just for the odd person. There's a few of you that listen to my Frank Stallone coverage. Okay, you're tracking so far. This ties in. So I'm going to mention this on the next time I record the Frank Stallone podcast, but it might be a bit because Doug and I have already recorded an episode that I'm editing this time. So when I got this email regarding the Frank Stallone podcast episode that we just did, it's too late. So it's behind. So I want to get this out before I forget. So there are people that listen to the Frank Stallone podcast that I do that listen to the Rambo podcast because it started from the Rambo podcast. Okay. So E.M. King is the father of Rocco. Mm-hmm. Okay. So he emailed me, and this is interesting. Now, do you remember you listened to the Frank Stallone podcast, correct?
Yeah.
You still listen or no? You don't have to if you don't. Or...
I don't like it. Just because I can't stand Frank.
No, it's a hard listen, but we try to make it fun. I
don't think I listened to the last episode.
Oh, okay. This ties in. On the last episode, Doug and I talked about how on Frank's Instagram, and I can actually bring it up here. Let me just bring it up. On Frank's Instagram, he posted this is good. This is funny. He posted a picture of, remember it was going around on socials for a bit there where people were posting AI created pictures of them being a toy. Like you could make yourself into a toy that you could buy on a toy shelf.
Oh, didn't I? And there was a Frank Stallone toy?
Yeah. No, not a real toy. Not a real. So it was AI. It was an AI image creator.
Okay.
So you told the AI.
You gave it a picture of yourself. And,
like make me into a toy figure. Make Ryan.
Yeah.
So you would have, for me, you might have like jogging shoes with a podcast microphone with a rock and roll guitar because I like rock and roll, whatever it is. So you tell the algorithm, like, these are my interests. These are the things I like. Make me into a toy figure.
Yeah.
So I think you have to tell the AI image creator what it is you like. Because then it makes things into, because it puts the accessories next to your action figure. Okay. You tracking so far? So Rocco's dad, Rocco, who made the trivia book, his dad, Ian King, did this for Frank on his behalf and sent Frank the picture. But E.M. King listens and enjoys our Frank Stallone coverage. He trolled Frank Stallone because he made a Frank Stallone AI image toy based on our podcast coverage. And then Frank put that picture onto his Instagram.
So E.M. King sent it to Frank, tagged him in his post, and then Frank showed it. Okay.
Frank didn't create the photo. E.M. King listened to our podcast, created the photo,
and Frank doesn't realize that he was being trolled.
So I'm going to show you the picture. It makes sense because we mentioned it. I know this is convoluted, but I hope this makes sense because we mentioned on that episode, because we're going through Frank's Instagram, right? And we made fun of the picture that Frank posted. Look, and we were wondering why are the things, his accessories in his AI image created toy, so much of the things that we talk about on the podcast.
And that's why that's hilarious.
Because E.M. King goes here. He goes, excellent work on the Frank Stallone podcast. And Big Gun Doug, you're doing a great job as a co-host. Just wanted to clear up some confusion because we were confused on the Frank Stallone action figure AI image. I made that and sent it to Frank. That's why he had all the beats from your show in that photo. Keep up the good work.
So what was it? What were the things?
I'm going to show you the picture. So here we go with the photo. Give me 1 second here to taste this. So here's the picture. So Frank put this on his Instagram, but it was sent by E.M. King because of our podcast. But Frank, I love this. So check it out. So why this is funny is because Frank, of course, is wearing his cowboy hat.
Oh, the ascot. The ascot.
Now check out the accessories because we talked about the scrubs. We've talked about his boxing, his shooting at the gun range, his gym time being a star on Tombstone, his military outfit, his cop outfit in the movies that have yet to be real. It's all there. This is fantastic.
What are the boxing gloves? Oh, because he boxes in the gym.
He's boxing historian buff, and remember he's a historian boxing buff, and to his credit, he knows a lot of boxing. But
yeah.
So
with his sunglasses,
King
his
created
sunglasses.
this. It's sent to Frank, and so I love how it's just gone full circle. Basically, if we never did our stupid podcast about Frank Stallone, this image would never exist. That's what's so funny.
Oh my God, hilarious. The ascot especially, and the scrub. Oh my God. And just like how much he talks about Tombstone and his cowboy. It looks like he's like posing as a cowboy always.
Love it.
He's not a cowboy.
I know it's tough to listen to. There is a new episode coming out of Frank Stallone. Check it out. It's fun. It's probably the last one that we're going to have for a while with Doug because he's got a new baby coming and it's going to be so much harder to schedule. I do have a guest co-host that's lined up who said they could step in Doug's absence, so stand by for that. But boy, this is a big episode. I've had a blast with you, Katie. This was just a blast. I hope our listeners enjoyed this as well.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, this was too easy. However, Katie, this episode is over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.